Things this past week have been fairly odd, starting with the Tennessee Titans testing positive, multiple members of the Tennessee Titans testing positive for the coronavirus. Try saying that like 6 times, Tennessee Titans testing positive. But in addition to that, the President of the United States tested positive for the coronavirus. And things are escalating a little bit here because we already know the fate of the Tennessee Titans-Pittsburgh Steelers game. It's going to get postponed to week 7, and that's when they're going to play. The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't going to have a bye week. They said they're okay with that. They seem to be all on board with doing whatever it takes to make sure that they could play football this year. And, I greatly appreciate that. But things are getting crazier because arguably one of the faces of the NFL tested positive for COVID today. Now, before we get to the content, don't forget to sack that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe, and turn on my notifications to help the channel grow. On top of that, I have a brand new giveaway on my Instagram page for a PlayStation 5, so make sure you're entered in that as well. And I'm probably going to be live streaming Among Us with subscribers later on today, so make sure you follow me on Twitch. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots game this week was probably the game I was looking forward to the most. And the reason being because, you have one of the most brilliant defensive coaches in the NFL in Bill Belichick, and possibly just one of the most brilliant coaches in general in Bill Belichick, going against one of the most electrifying offenses in the entire NFL in the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't know, I was just really looking forward to this matchup in particular. After the Tennessee Titans tested positive for COVID and the Pittsburgh Steelers game got postponed, we found out that another game was going to get postponed as well. This one being the New England Patriots versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So let me take you through everything that we know in terms of COVID testing, and hopefully I don't have to make more videos like this. But the first update comes from Adam Schefter, because today he found out that there was a bigger outbreak amongst the Titans players. 3 more Titans players tested positive today in Tennessee. So in all, 16 members of the Titans organization have now tested positive in the past week, 8 Titans players and 8 other members of the organization. Now, with this weekend's Steelers-Titans game rescheduled, there now will be increased questions about the viability of next week Titans-Bills game, which is when scheduling becomes a little bit fascinating, because it appears as though the Tennessee Titans are probably going to be on a different schedule than most other teams, because at first they were able to reschedule their game to week 7. Now, what happens if they can't make their game against the Bills? Do they play a little bit more into the winter? Do they postpone it to the end of the season? How does that go? The Minnesota Vikings were the last team to play against the Tennessee Titans, and it appears as though the virus didn't really seem to affect them very much. But we got some info about another team today, and that's the New England Patriots, because probably the face of the New England Patriots, other than their head coach, their quarterback, Cam Newton, tested positive for the coronavirus and is out for Sunday's game versus Kansas City. Now, the Patriots have been doing mass testing and retesting so far, and there has been no spread at all. So, as far as we know, it's only Cam Newton. And here's the statement that the Patriots came out with. Late last night, we received notice that a Patriots player tested positive for COVID-19. The player immediately entered self-quarantine. Several additional players, coaches, and staff who have been in close contact with the player received point-of-care tests this morning, and all were negative for COVID-19. We are in close consultation with the NFL, as well as our team of independent doctors and specialists, and will follow their guidance regarding our scheduled trip to Kansas City and game against the Chiefs. The health and safety of our team, as well as our opponent, are of highest priority. So, what's interesting about this is, in true Patriots fashion, they didn't reveal who the individual was that got tested positive for coronavirus, which was Cam Newton. But Adam Schefter continues to say that the Patriots were scheduled to leave for Kansas City at about 1 p.m. Eastern, and the trip is now on standby as they await more test results and guidance from the NFL. Now, the flight is not leaving, and the Patriots players actually left the team facility so far. According to Schefter, he continues to say that all options now appear to be on the table. Patriots could leave later today. Patriots could leave Sunday. The game could be postponed, and one source even texted that there is no way that they travel today. Now, of the multiple options the league is now discussing for the New England Patriots, one would entail leaving for Kansas City on Sunday and playing the game on Monday. And as time went on, and this is kind of the reason I didn't make this video an hour ago, because there's so much updating coming out, the Patriots and Chiefs game as of an hour ago is being postponed and is expected to be played on Monday or Tuesday. And another source added that Tuesday is more likely. So the most likely situation is going to be Tuesday Night Football, Patriots versus the Chiefs. Now, the way this affects the rest of the schedule, it appears as though the Colts versus the Bears game is going to shift to 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. Everything else on the schedule is going to remain the same. Cardinals, Panthers is going to be at 1. Jags versus Bengals is also going to be at 1. Browns versus Cowboys, Saints versus Lions, Vikings versus Texans, Seahawks versus Dolphins. You guys see the schedule in front of you. All that's going to be the same. The only thing that's different is they had to move an additional game to the afternoon slot because, dude, there's literally only 2 games being played in the afternoon slot. There were supposed to be 4 originally. But this should be, I don't mean to say this is going to be exciting, but we're going to get football a little bit more spread out as a result of this. So we're going to have football now on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesday for this week. And there's probably going to be a team that's playing on Thursday as well. All in all, it's really nice that the NFL is trying their best to get ahead of this. After seeing the freaking president test positive for COVID, well, I feel like everyone needs to be a little bit more on alert. And I know this is going to sound kind of funky. I shouldn't really say this in a video. The one thing that made me really happy about the president testing positive for COVID is the fact that I feel like there's going to be such a greater emphasis to speed up vaccine trials and speed up the ability to get tests. I feel like there's going to be much more development in terms of being able to get over this virus or find a way to live with this virus as a result of the president of the United States getting the virus. And I have to give props to the NFL because the NFL probably has the highest chance of spreading the virus out of any league whatsoever. Like, dude, you literally have 12 people literally contacting each other each and every game. And that's before we mention the head coaches and the players on the sidelines and the players that get substituted in because of all the injuries more recently. There's a lot of contact that goes on in the NFL. So it's really good to see that the NFL is getting ahead of this to make sure no one else could potentially contract the virus. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this info? I was supposed to take a day off today, but it appears as though Cam Newton and the NFL had other plans for me. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.